So if you've watched any of the videos on this channel, you pretty much know by now that I live in a very rural, off-grid area of Bocas del Toro, Panama. And making this move was not taken lightly. Because if you've also watched this channel, you probably know by now that I'm an educator. I own an online school. That means I'm online about 8 to 10 hours a day, and I do not have the time for internet problems. I literally cannot do it. So when we found this property, the first thing that we did was have the internet guys come out and see if they could find a signal on this property, because it was the most important thing. Period. Like, everything else on this property was great. The location was great. The things that were on the property were great. The price was great. But if it didn't have internet signal, it was not going to happen. So, follow me on today's journey and let's find out how I get internet signal in the jungle and how that signal is working for me now after it's been, oh gosh, I don't even know how many months now. 4 or 5 months, something like that, 4 months. All right, so let's see how it's going, because as you know, science teachers can do virtually anything, including teach online from the jungle. Look at this view. Amazing. But the other really amazing thing is that this view is, let me try not to break my neck on this hill. This view comes from what used to be one of our water storage houses. Okay, so a long time ago, this property had water storage tanks in here. Currently ours is up at the top of the property. But basically when we had the guys from Panama come out here I'll switch around to me. Okay, when we had the guys from Panama come out here to check before I ever even bought the property, they said what we need is a kind of a clear line of sight to Bocas Town. So that was not going to happen from the buildings down below where we're living now. So we had to come up the hill. We had to walk because there was no road at that point in time. So we walked up the hill and we came to this building, and they set up their equipment and they did receive a signal. So a year later, I called the guys at Panama again, and they came in and installed this system. Now, here's the really frustrating part. The place where I was living before I moved here, the place that I was renting, oh, it's over here actually. They had their internet installed by Panama before I got there, because that's how important internet is. And they dug a trench. So they had a trench dug from where their little satellite signal receiver thing is. Sorry, I know nothing about internet. To the house. And they ran a cable. Well, I figured that's what we were going to do. So I literally had the guys dig a trench from here all the way down this hill, all the way down there, and over to the buildings where we live, because that's where the router was going to go. Well, Panama gets out here and they're like, hey, we can set this up wireless. Wah, wah. Okay, so anyway, what we have up here is a completely wireless system. So it's receiving, look, don't even ask me. This is why I didn't do the electrical video, and Brian knows about as much about this stuff as I do, so I might as well do it. But anyway, the signal is coming from Bocas Town across the water. It hits our satellite receiver here and then beams it down Scotty to our router in the house. So let's go check that part of the program out. All right, now I'm down at the building where we live, and this is the little receiver here that gets the signal. So if I turn around here, you can see right up there is the old water storage tank building where we just were, that has the receiver on it. So again, things are coming from Bocas Town, hitting that receiver on that building, and then coming to this receiver on this building from which you can see a wire runs down here. So let's follow that around. Okay, so it's pretty dark in this corner here, but you can see where the cable from the receiver on the outside of the house, it goes underneath the house and then through this hole and into this thing that's plugged into here, which I don't know what the heck that thing is. But anyway, so the cable goes into one and then like the other cable goes into the other one. So then here's the router, and then this is plugged into the black box I just showed you, and that's plugged into the wall for the electricity. So then that's the router, and voila, that is how we get our internet here. All right, so now that we know how the internet signal gets to the house, what kind of internet signal am I getting? I mean, just because you can get an internet signal doesn't mean that you have good, solid internet. So let's discuss that a little bit. And I promise you're probably going to have a heart attack in the beginning, but then let me explain. Okay, so when I'm dealing with Panama, I purchase my package based on the speed that I want. So I figured it was probably in my best interest to start small and then work my way up from there if I needed to. So I purchased like the 2 megabyte per second package or whatever that is, something like that. And it is, sit down please, $100 a month. Okay, which is not a big deal when you own an online business, and that's like basically your overhead. Okay, so let's see what kind of speeds that I'm really getting. So I'm going to speedtest.net, click and go, and this varies during the day. Okay, so it kind of comes and goes. Sometimes I have better speeds than other times. So here you can see on a download, I'm running about 2.73 megabytes per second, which is within my package. Upload, oh man, this is the time to upload a video. Holy moly. Upload is running about the same. Now, that can vary. All right, so you're probably looking at these speeds and you're coming from somewhere that's like 100 or 50 or whatever it is from where you're from, and you're like, oh my God, you can't even do anything on that. You would be shocked. I can do everything I need to do on this, literally, which for my online school, I do a lot of research on Google, pulling up a bazillion web pages. I am on YouTube all of the time, watching videos, downloading videos, all of that sort of stuff. And honestly, I will tell you, when it comes to that, checking emails and all that sort of stuff, when it comes to that, I see no difference than my speed in Los Angeles. Where I do see a problem sometimes is this upload, which is when I'm uploading files for my school or obviously uploading YouTube videos. 2.84 is massive upload speed for me. There are times when I'm at like half a megabyte per second and it can take a few hours to upload a video. But you know, I just do it at night, like whatever, it's not that big of a deal. So let me just show you, like if I go to my YouTube channel right now, you can see that the page pulls up nice and fast. The intro video pulls up nice and fast. And then let's say I just click on some random video, like here's the last one that I uploaded. And you can see that it loads and goes. So I don't get the spinning wheel of death usually. Once I pop onto a video, it goes. Okay. So really, the only place I see a massive issue is when I'm trying to upload files, be it a YouTube video or files for my school. It runs slower than it did in Los Angeles. Is it so slow that I want to, like, you know, put a bullet in my head? No, not so much. But it's slower. So if I'm doing a YouTube video, I always upload those at night. Can multiple people be, you know, doing... and I've done streaming... like Zoom calls too, with no problem. When one person is doing all that, I think everything's fine. I think if we had multiple people here doing that, we could run into an issue. And once we start having guests, we're going to up our package rate for that. But yeah, for now, for my purposes, and I'm talking from someone who is on the internet 8 to 10 hours a day minimum, it works perfectly fine for me. And our downtime is practically zero with Panetma. People complain and book us all the time about their different providers going down constantly. I do not have that problem with Panetma. In 6 months, we've had outages. We had one outage because they had a power outage in Bocas, and that power outage affected our signal, but only for a couple hours, and then we were back even before the electricity was back on in Bocas. They figured out a workaround. So my uptime, honestly, is even better than it was in Los Angeles. It does not drop as often as it did there. Okay, so now I'm up at the top of my property, right at the road, and I want to show you what's directly over my head. As you can see, it's a wire that goes down. It's really the only grid type thing I have around here. So what is it? Well, I call it a tease. It seriously is a tease, because that is the fiber optic cable that goes to Changuinola, right at my property. So I've got fiber optic right there. Okay, so that brings me to the kind of final point that I want to put into this video. That, look, just because I am living off-grid in the jungle and have to relay an internet signal, you know, from way out some island and back over to here and then down to my house, does not mean that that's going to be your experience in Panama, okay? There are numerous internet options here. There are people that have fiber optic. I can't even get fiber optic in Los Angeles. So there are people that have fiber optic. There are people that have cable internet. There are people that use their phones for hotspots. There is just a wide range of internet options here in Panama. So depending upon your needs, you're going to be able to find a place that's going to work for you. All right? You just have to make sure that you research those options before you decide to move if internet is super important to you. But like I said, internet is like probably the main priority in my life. I would say even above Brian, yeah? Yeah, he shakes his head yes. So internet is like a massive priority of mine, and I do fine here. Yeah, when I'm trying to upload files, it can be really slow and kind of a pain in the butt, but I don't do that every day. So you can make it work. You can make the internet work here. You just have to make sure that if you are getting into one of these more remote rural areas, that you can actually get a signal. But like I said, if you're living in Panama City or you're living in one of the developed areas, you're going to have some options for internet for sure. More options than what I have. So there you have it, a short, sweet video about how a science teacher who owns an online school from Los Angeles, California, can bring her work with her to the rural jungles of Panama. Because, like I said, science teachers can do virtually anything. All right, so if you were excited about more content on this channel, make sure you click subscribe. We have a new video every Friday. And until then, I'll see you later. I gotta get to work.